Hello, hello. Welcome to episode 10 of Somehow I Dad, the podcast about dad life. This week's episode's a little bit different. Normally, we kind of have a structured episode, but actually Kate and I had our baby this past week. So I normally we're kind of texting the guys all week and have constant communication, just keeping up on each other's lives. But with us being super busy in the hospital, we actually haven't had a chance to catch up at all. So this episode's really just a conversation of catching up with each other and kind of talking through everything that happened in the hospital and kind of my thoughts and how everything went there, and kind of the birth story, if you will, kind of later on in the episode. But just wanted to give you guys a heads up. It's not a super structured episode. It's more just a conversation with us, just hanging out and just a bunch of guys being dudes being guys. But no, so thank you guys so much for listening. I can't believe we're at episode 10 already. This has flown by. Thank you guys so much for your support. It means the world to us, seriously. I think I speak for everybody when it's really a dream come true to get to do this, and that people would listen to us. So thank you so much. Joining me today is obviously me, Garrett, your host, and then we've got TJ. Abe is finally back with us, and Tyler. So thank you guys so much for listening, and enjoy.
Baby is 3 days old?
Yeah, he was born, or Friday morning. Yeah. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 3.
And how much sleep have you gotten?
Honestly, besides the first day home, we didn't get a ton. But
Nobody sleeps in a hospital, dude.
No,
unless you're in the bed.
Yeah, we didn't sleep a ton the first day in the hospital, and nobody told us how often we were supposed to feed him. So we just slept until he woke us up. Like, we didn't wake him up the first night we were in the hospital because no one told us, like, hey, you should wake him up every 2 to 3 hours to feed him. So, but since we've been home, we haven't had a ton of sleep. But the first day we got like no sleep. But then the second day, which was yesterday, we actually got a good amount of sleep. But it was like, it's just all broken up. Like, it's 2 hours here and then got to do something for another 2 hours and then an hour there. Then
welcome to the next 18 years of your life.
Oh my gosh, man. I actually, yesterday and today I feel pretty good. I haven't taken a nap at all today. We'll see how tonight goes, but
I took 2 naps today. It's beautiful.
I took a lunch nap today, dude. It was great.
Some of us are not partially employed, TJ.
Let's see. I went to work at 7:30 and I got home at 10:30.
See?
God.
It's like, so you ran a morning errand?
Pretty much. I went into a job, they weren't ready, and he goes, let's do what we can. I was like, cool. And so we did what we could. And then he was like, sweet, I'll see you tomorrow. And I went home. All my guys were done. So there's nothing else for me to do. I'm not just going to sit in my truck. I'll leave my house and go help another job if I have to.
But yeah.
Only if you have to.
Well, I don't care if I do it. Like, I've done it many times, but if I'm going to sit around and wait for something, I'm going to sit around and wait at my house.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if I can eat lunch, and it's middle of the day, it would be like sometime between 10 and 2, I will just drive up to the city. It'll take me 30 minutes. Partially employed.
Aspen, have you had your nightly Dr. Pepper nerds yet?
We'll put her on the mic.
Hi, Aspen.
Hi, Aspen.
Hi, Aspen. Hey. How are you?
Can you say hi?
Hey.
Hi. Have you had... Oh, nope.
That was it.
Done.
She's I'm done. I don't want to talk to you. This is mine now.
Yep.
Well, it matches her shirt, too, so...
She's got one, though. It's okay.
Did she have a game
Blue
today?
Jays, though?
We had pictures today.
Oh, nice.
You wore Blue Jay shirts?
Well, she's on the Blue Jays. We're automatically assigned.
Oh, okay. I thought when I first saw the Blue Jay shirt, I'm like, that's your baseball team?
No, I have a Braves jersey.
Attaboy. I was about to say. Please explain.
I just bought an Acuna Jr. jersey yesterday. So
Yeah, boy. That's what I'm
I need to
talking
get a Mariners jersey. They
Man,
just
J-Rod's
always
something
suck
else.
so bad.
J-Rod
Oh.
never sucks. Dude's crazy.
The Braves culture runs so deep in my family. Like I grew up, we watched the Braves. Like that was, you don't watch any other team. You watch the Braves.
Yeah.
That was it. Like I remember coming up when it was like Tom Glavine, Chicks Dig the Long Ball, Greg Maddux, Fred McGriff, the crime dog, David Justice, all those boys, man. That was like my childhood was watching them. It was great.
Yeah, I grew up in like the Andrew and Chipper Jones era.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the era that I grew up in. I
Dated
didn't really
myself a
start
little
watching
bit. It sounds like
a little bit.
a little bit. That's all right.
I didn't start watching baseball really until like the last 2 years. So
Yeah, that was pretty much the only sport my parents would let me play. was baseball. Growing up, I had a baseball bat in my hand, and that was quickness. Oh, new baby on camera. We got a freshie, fresh out the oven, dude. What's been the biggest realization for you so far, Garrett? Like, has there been like a whoa type of moment yet?
Oh, there he is. I don't know if there's been like a River, leave it. I don't know if there's been like a whoa type of moment. It's just been like I definitely, all you guys said it and everyone said it that like you weren't gonna feel like it's hard to feel connected to him right away.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, there's no way. Like I'll feel it. But no, you guys are right. Definitely have a hard time. Like, I mean, I love him so much.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But like I don't like it. It's not that like I don't know.
Bring you to tears type of love.
I mean, I definitely cry. I cry all the time right now. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Well, you did that before the baby, so that's not
That's
True.
true. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't realize that. It's okay, buddy. And I didn't realize how many diaper changes we're gonna have to do.
What'd you think of the first diaper change? The
The
first
tar.
poop where it's
The
like
tar?
black tar.
It honestly wasn't awful. It was gross.
It's really tough to clean off the baby because it's like spackle.
I didn't realize how hard it was going to be to get off. Yeah. Especially because while we were at the hospital, so we gave birth on Friday. We were at the hospital Friday, Saturday. And they changed all the diapers. We didn't change any diapers at the hospital. So
For real?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like the nurses
Where'd they
changed
hide
all of
money.
them.
You must have went to that. You must have went to the special hospital.
I mean, we did go to
They
a
basically
really
made
nice
me
hospital.
clean both the kids off. Like, here's your baby. Here's a towel, and I'm like, what? What am I supposed to do with this? I don't have like a pressure washer or anything. We can get this guy super clean.
Yeah,
He's
so
young
we
here.
we got home on Saturday. We went to go change his diaper for the first time, and I was like, Kate and I were both standing there, and I was like, oh wait, like this is our first diaper change. Like we haven't done this yet. We opened it up, and sure enough, there was black tar everywhere.
Good old amniotic fluid.
Yeah,
No, right?
and then
I thought so. Nobody prepared us for the first. Like they're like, okay, we need him to poop, and I expected it to be like not necessarily normal, really. But I was like, wait a minute. Like, okay, I figured he's new. I figured it's probably going to be like some color and not a normal consistency. And I opened that diaper, and I got a nurse immediately. I'm like, my kid's broken. There's something wrong with him. Like, this came out of him. Came out of him. And she just laughed. She was like, nope, that's perfectly normal. That's what he's supposed to do. It'll be like that for, a week or two. And it'll slowly start to clear that stuff out. And I'm like, thinking, this is what they use on baseball bats. This is pine tar. What this is. This is sticky pine tar.
yeah, it's exactly. Except ours. I mean, his pine tar is gone. It was only like
It's like 2 days.
Friday, Saturday. And then, buddy.
It took Roman a little while to clear his out.
And then it went from pine tar to like kind of a not diarrhea consistency, but it went from pine tar to like a brown kind of loose,
Like applesaucey.
and
Yep.
then it went, and now it's at yellow mustard is exactly what it looks like.
Yep.
Dude.
A little French's.
Dude, I was
Yep.
Kate
with the
was
seeds
like,
in it.
it's exactly what it is. Kate was like, dude, it looks like mustard with seeds in it. Like, and now mustard sounds like the most disgusting thing in the world to me right now.
I don't eat mustard anymore.
Yeah.
There's a reason it has the word turd in it. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I will say though,
Man.
I don't, maybe you guys can speak light on this. So the first 2 stages of the poop were awful to clean. Like they were everywhere, like as blowout diapers. So far with what we've seen of the yellow poop, it's not been bad. Is that,
I'll just wait.
does it stay like that or does it get?
All of it sucks, dude. All of
Dude,
it sucks.
today-
And then they get to the point when you start potty training.
Yeah.
And then, like Cora, who just turned 2 a few weeks back, she's now to the point where she'll say, "I poop," and so we're starting the process with like potty training.
Yeah.
Bro, she'll lay logs. Like I don't know how they fit in her diaper, dude. Like I changed her the other night, and I was like, "This is the size of your forearm." Like how, first of all, how did you make this? This is a body part. And secondly, I was shocked that it fit in the diaper.
Yeah.
Like I didn't took the diaper off and I literally just shook it out in the toilet. It was, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, Alex, they used washable, reusable diapers. And I was like, that is
my God.
not anything I ever want.
No. Some
No.
people that use reusable diapers, whoever listens to this, I'm sorry, there's something mentally wrong with you. Like
I couldn't even.
I will say, I definitely thought that. And then I had a friend that I was talking to at church that said they used like reusable diapers, but they had someone that would come and pick them up and clean them for them and then drop them back off at their house.
That's some rich white people stuff.
It's exactly what that sounds like.
Yes, that is
But I was
the
like-
epitome of hard to hide money.
Yeah.
But I was like, buddy.
If I'm
I was
using
like,
reusable diapers and somebody's coming to pick them up, I'm dumping my underwear in that pile too, without question. Without question.
With a shart in one of them. Just
Oh, for sure. For sure. I'm going to do a
Dude.
3/4 wipe and then just dump them in. Yeah, no, you're fine.
my boss called me all embarrassed the other day. He was like, I had to poo and I thought I let it rock up enough and then I sneezed in traffic and I just shit myself. I'm going to need you to go take care of this next job for me because I'm heading home. And I
That
was
is
like,
the
I get
best
it.
excuse ever. That's the best one. Tyler's going to use that in the morning. He's going to call in. Hey, I'm sitting in traffic. I'm not going to be able to work overnight because just cream.
Joke's on you. I'm still on leave.
nice.
How much longer do you have? You'll probably only have a couple weeks left, right?
Yeah, I go back on the 2nd, so I got like 2 weeks left. Not even.
Oof.
I have never taken more than like 5 days off for any kid. Feel like a bad husband now.
Hey, it's offered, it's paid. If you're gonna pay me to sit
Yeah.
at home, I'll sit at home.
I actually got yelled at my job when I had my first, no, it's the first kid, second kid, because I didn't show up for work because I was at the hospital.
Yeah.
And then I started looking for a new job.
I was about to say, I'm out. Hey, I'm not going to show up for work because
Yeah.
I officially am not going to work here anymore. That's all. That's
Exactly.
nuts to me, man. Like the cool Walmart did a pretty good job. They gave me the 12 weeks too.
Well, because you practically now own the company now. You're employee
No.
01,
No.
the foundation on which all good things are built on.
Shoot. There's a whole lot smarter people there than me, man. I'm not even there anymore, so they're definitely smarter than me. But Kroger, on the other hand,
True, Kroger.
shameless plug. Where did Garrett go?
There was a crying baby.
I think the
Is
baby
Garrett
was
crying?
crying. But we were talking about reusable diapers. Why? Like, what's the benefit? Diapers are not that expensive. You get most of them at your baby
No.
shower.
According to the hippy dippiness that I was told, it's because there are fewer chemicals in the diaper.
Who cares? Like, I do not care about
what
that
are
at all.
Fewer chemicals in the diaper, but I would love to see what they eat throughout the week.
Yeah, nerds and Dr. Pepper, bro.
Yeah.
I I was just dumbfounded because I was wondering why they're putting their diapers in like a bag and taking it home. I'm like, if I'm at your house and I change a diaper, that diaper's staying with you. Like, that's a little memento I'm leaving at your house.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's a power move.
I'd put it in the upper part of the toilet. Just leave it in there. Here
What
you
did
go.
I see the
Flush
other
and it's
day?
just brown water
I
coming
heard
out.
somebody say you should squirt red food coloring in the toilet bowl tank when you stay at an Airbnb so that every person who comes in and flushes afterward, it's like red tinted water and it just freaks them out. And I was like, I feel like there's a fine involved in that.
It's gonna stay in the toilet.
If it didn't stain the porcelain,
If it's edible food coloring, it probably shouldn't stain it.
It'll stain your mouth. It'll stain the toilet.
Well, it doesn't stay in your mouth for forever, so it must clean off eventually.
Well,
I mean, when you're staying in an Airbnb and they're charging $500 for a cleaning service, you better be able to do whatever you want.
exactly. Those fees are ridiculous, man.
For real.
It'd be like $200 a night plus a $1,500 cleaning fee. Like, that's not cheaper than a hotel.
No, it's not. No, it's not. We're getting ready to take the kids on a cruise into the month.
Gross.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
I've never been on a cruise.
Going on a Disney cruise.
I've done maritime inspections when I was in the Coast Guard of cruises. Those are the grossest places. I won't even tell you stories. It's unnecessary. You're going on one. Enjoy it.
I'm excited because like the kids are all into like Disney movies. We've watched Moana for Cora 150 million times. And Roman is all big on Mandalorian, all things Star Wars right now. And so there's some Star Wars stuff on the boat and all that kind of stuff. So it should be fun. I'm not like, it kind of sucks because we're going on this big expensive vacation and there's like going to be no alone time for me and Mel. So, but hey, memories, right?
If Em and I have talked about doing the cruise to the Inner Passage in Alaska because it comes out of Seattle.
Dude,
and just go up. That I think would be cooler.
I want to go on an Alaskan cruise really badly.
That would be my one cruise. I will never do a Caribbean cruise because those are gross, like super gross.
Well, that's what we're doing. Yay!
Well, it's just heat and enclosed metal spaces is not a sanitary environment.
Yep.
And there's a lot of food that gets loaded on these things. A lot of food that gets left, and it's just nasty.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, it's not my ideal, but first time for everything, I guess.
Yeah.
We'll see how the kids do. I'm a little bit nervous about seasickness for them.
You won't feel anything on a cruise liner.
No?
At all.
Okay, good.
Not even a little bit.
No, it's like fishing ships is where you get like cruise.
Or whale watching.
Yeah.
Whale
like
watching.
real shaky boats, like the smaller ones, but the big boats, you're not going to feel that.
Well, and they also, if I remember right, most cruise ships have a motion deadener in the hull. So it stays incredibly stable.
I've seen some boats with those on like small, I say smaller, but like 35, 40 foot, like fishing.
Yeah.
And it's like they have those like water tanks.
It's a gyroscope in there. Yeah. It's
freaking just
rad.
Like they're demonstrating it. And there's like 4 or 5 people on each side. And they're just rocking this thing in the harbor. And then they flip the switch and that sucker just goes, dink.
Yeah.
Sits there. It's freaking amazing. Some of that
Those are
technology
cool.
is nuts, man.
The ones I really liked is in the Coast Guard. We had they were self-riding surf boats, so you can roll the boat in a wave and it'll always roll itself back up.
So you just hang on.
Well, you're in a 5-point harness in the cabin. Like think of it like an F1 car on the water, and it is so much fun. And we did it off the Columbia River bar between Washington and Oregon. The Columbia River, where it spills into the Pacific, is like one of the most treacherous stretches of water. And you'll run out there in a surf boat. And the chief on this boat was such a salty dude, like the coolest old, like if you thought of a generic old fisherman, that was this guy. And he was smoking a cigar. And we knew a big wave was coming because he'd take the lit cigar out of his mouth, turn it around, and put the coal in his mouth. And then we'd roll the boat, and then he'd pull it out and flip it around. So it never went out. And I was like, damn it, son. I hope I'm as cool as you when I grow up.
Bro, that's awesome. I need to meet this gentleman.
Mainly
because I've never seen anybody flip a cigar around.
Right? Dude, it was one of those where I was like, dang, you're just like better than all of us.
Yeah. So it's like, what's funny is I've worked for a couple people that we're pretty salty, but then there's just this one scenario or this one thing that happens and they just instinctively know what to do. And you just immediately go, yeah, that's exactly why you make the money that you make and you're doing the job.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
I have 1,000% faith in you now. I don't question anything ever. I just get it done.
You've got this. I'll never question you again.
Yep. Whatever you need me to do, just tell me, because you are definitely smarter than me. He's back with a shirt change.
I really thought that was a Cookie Monster shit for a second there.
Yeah, so Kate handed him to me because she had to go to the bathroom, and he definitely peed on me while I was holding him, and went to go change his diaper, and he had a poopy diaper. So
I'm beginning to think that the fault lies in you because you're the common denominator.
He's only peed on me. He hasn't peed on Kate at all.
What, are you holding him naked? If he's got a diaper on, how's he peeing on you? Is he just
it's getting out his diaper.
You must not be like fastening it all the way.
Well, not to be a jerk, but he is a tiny baby, so I'm pretty sure those diapers are like he's swimming in those diapers.
He is less than the first percentile.
Yeah,
Really?
he is a tiny stinking baby. I saw the number when you texted it to me, and I literally call Em and I'm like, this is a tiny baby, right? And she goes, yeah, that's tiny. My smallest or our smallest was like 8.5.
Yeah.
Like 8 pounds, 5 ounces.
How much did he weigh?
He was born at 5 pounds, 12 ounces.
How did you have such a small baby, Garrett? Because you're like, what, 6'2", 6'3"?
I'm 6'1", like 270, 280. I'm a big guy. But Kate is little. So I'm not surprised.
I want next baby to be a tank so bad.
But
no next babies for me. None.
Yeah, he is little. He is. When he was born, he was the 5th percentile. And then we went in. We had our first appointment today, and he was under the 1st percentile. So,
you just can't find diapers small enough for him.
Well, we had newborn diapers, and they were definitely too big. So my parents came over for dinner the other night and brought preemie diapers, and they definitely
that's what I was going to say. Have you tried?
They definitely fit better, but
have you tried or thought about reusable diapers?
Full circle.
I've got a few T-shirts I don't care about. We could just.
You know what? You should probably just stick some paper towels in a baggie, one of those sandwich baggies, poke some holes in it, and just slide it on and just.
That would be great.
Crimp it around.
That might work. That might do the trick.
Yeah, you joke about the shirt you don't want to wear, but you haven't been a dad until you've sacrificed an article of your clothing to either wrap around the kid's waist or to put under said kid after they destroy their car seat. from some bodily fluid. It can be anything.
Oh.
But
Or
I have
beer.
definitely. I was driving to a wedding with 2 kids, and Em was like, "You might want to pack like extra clothes. It's hot and sweaty." And I was helping set up. And yeah, on the drive down, diaper blowout plus puke, simultaneous. And I was like, "Well, this shirt is going into the car seat." And
Yep.
I wore my nice clothes to help set up the freaking wedding.
The amount of times, like, so I got to the point to where I only bought like plain colored shirts, and I would buy like 3.
The Walmart, like the Hanes special.
Hell
Like,
yes.
it's like
Absolutely.
5 crew neck, blue, solid blue shirts.
Blue, gray, white,
Yep.
and black.
Gray
Like, if
never
I
works
could
for
get
me
my
because I
cover
sweat
right now-
too much. And I
Same.
hate freaking pitting out on the gray shirts.
Same.
Absolutely. So I just buy like 5 or 6 of them, and they'll last me for a couple months, and just resupply.
Now I'm
Yeah,
at the
those,
point
dude.
where almost all the shirts I wear are from my company because they buy us new shirts every year. So I have an overflow of them, and I'm like, I'm repping the company all the time because why spend money
Clothing.
on clothing when I get it for free?
Exactly. That ultimate dad move. Like I was looking at clothes the other day, and I'm like sitting there going, why am I going to spend $60 on a pair of shorts? Like doesn't make any sense. And then we went to Sam's Club, and they had a sale on shorts for like $10. Every color.
Cleaned them out.
It's when you start shopping for clothes at Costco, and you're
I
like,
was just gonna say, I'm gonna
those
be a
pants look great.
Costco shirt guy now. That's
Bro,
all I
heck
have are
yes.
Costco
Man, I'm telling
shirts.
you what, Walmart's t-shirts, the George t-shirts are like severely underrated. They're super soft and
For real.
super comfortable.
Those
Like,
and the
it's super
Target
surprising.
the Target plain crew necks are freaking money.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I those are like my church shirts, my stage shirts, black Target special. They're
Yep.
like freaking $10.
Yep.
They're just thin enough that they're breathable because the guitar strap makes me sweaty always, and you're on stage. There's lights,
hmm
but they're not so like thin that you can see skin through them.
Yeah.
Or you're
Yeah.
nipping through the freaking shirt.
That's the worst.
Yeah. Those George shirts are a little thicker because that's like what I like to wear. So
Yeah.
just a little thicker and it's
Just enough.
super soft. I
Yep.
love it.
And whenever I go to a job site and they've got like the job site shirts, like this is this project, I'm like, hey, you got a couple larges? Sure.
Yeah.
For me and my guys. And then they're at my house.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys never see them.
Unless they're a cool one. A cool one like I have my convention center shirt because we did a lot of work at the new Seattle Convention Center. And that was a cool shirt. Like they went through it and they had like an in loving memory of the guy who died on that project. So I was like, this can go to everybody.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He drove a
Yeah.
scissor lift off the 10th floor. Like it was
Hey,
bad.
whoa.
Oh my
What?
god.
He drove his scissor lift off the 10th floor.
Not on purpose.
It was
Right.
never reached,
Wasn't determined.
but it was a job site incident. So
Oh
it therefore
my god.
covers like his family got a payout.
Yeah.
They just kind of left it alone.
But I have driven scissor lifts almost every day for the last 8 years of this job, and I've never accidentally gotten that close to the edge.
I don't know. Maybe he passed out and fell on the stick.
You gotta hold it down.
Yeah, true. You got to hold it.
It has a grip safety like a good 1911.
Yeah.
Like you gotta squeeze it and rock it forward.
Ugh.
True.
The scariest one for me though, I was up on the 44th floor of a building and I had to drive right to the edge and then slide the basket out.
No.
And so I'm standing 45 stories up and then I boom it up and I come up because I'm scanning the front side of the roof parapet, which is the 46th floor. And I'm like, I'm up there and I'm like, the guy I'm working for, I'm like, please turn the lift off at the base, like at the bottom of the machine, just turn it off. I don't want to bump it. I don't want to feel a little jostle. I don't want anything because I'm puckered right now. I am scared. I'm not even afraid of heights, and I was scared.
I would have had my reusable diaper on without question.
Attaboy.
I would pass out. No joke.
Guaranteed.
Are you scared of heights?
Bro, I won't even get on an airplane. Like, I hyperventilate thinking about it. Like, I will have a panic attack thinking about getting on an airplane. Like, I'm that
Really?
terrified of heights. Yes. It's unreal. Can't do heights.
So are we doing the Somehow I Dad meetup with you? Because you're
Dude,
not traveling.
No, I drove 12 hours to Ohio. Like, Peyton flew there, and I drove 12 hours to Ohio. Like,
For real.
I will
But
not.
Some heights make me a little bit nervous. Like when you're talking about scissor lift, like pushing the boom out and stuff.
Yeah.
That would make me pretty nervous. I can't say I'd be nervous enough not to do it.
Same, but you will have a tight sphincter and you'll have the little butterfly in the gut.
Oh,
Yeah.
you get that little wind
100%.
gust?
Yeah.
Done. I'm out.
Exactly.
You got a little
It's
pee
scanned.
coming
It's
out.
done. Yeah.
Yeah,
But like
it's-
thinking of height, like I understand that you're way the hell up there in an airplane. I get it. But it's not the same for me anyway. It's not that it's not the same at all of like leaning out over the edge of a building or something like that. I don't know why, but those two just don't for me.
They don't equate to me.
Those two don't coexist.
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I just need to pop like 2 or 3 Zans, jump on the plane, and I'm good to go. But I don't know. Like, just literally, if I close my eyes and picture myself on an airplane, I will literally have a panic attack.
See, that's how I am about space and submarines. Those two. Because in my world, there's no surviving that. Like, if the plane goes down, you might survive. You know? If the ship sinks, you might survive. But if you're in space and something goes, nobody can get to you quickly. And if you're a couple 100 feet underwater and something goes wrong, you can't hold your breath. You can't swim. You're actually going to explode at that. Both you rapidly... No, one you get crushed, one you explode. And I'm not a fan of either one of those.
Yeah.
Exploding or imploding. Either
That's
one.
true.
Not a fan. I would probably share not being exploded or imploded. I feel this. I wouldn't want either one of those to happen to me either.
No. So I thought you guys would think this is funny. So I don't know why this stuff happens to me. But while we were at the hospital on Saturday, I think it was, I get a notification that my Spotify account has been logged in somewhere in like Korea. And I thought, you know what? I get these emails, quite often, especially specifically with Spotify, where it's like, you've been logged in on this device. Do you recognize it? And I'm like, whatever. But then I went to go play music for, to kind of soothe Kate and
Please be K-pop.
100% K-pop.
Yes.
Somebody was actively listening to my Spotify in another country. So first it was
Garrett, the man of the people.
First it was the Taco Bell app.
David Williams is on vacation.
First it was the Taco Bell app, and now my Spotify got hacked. So I'm like,
Wait a minute. What? Your Taco Bell app got hacked?
That's how long he hasn't been on the
that's
show.
how long Abe hasn't been here. Oh boy.
Oh my gosh.
It's been a
Wait,
while.
I thought you knew about that. You were here when he said that.
No.
Oh my gosh.
You don't have to go back into it. I'm still just confused of why you have a Taco Bell app, first of all.
You get rewards. You get free food.
I guess I don't need Taco Bell.
Long story short, a few months ago, we
Was it Nick?
no.
Did Nick hack it?
I mean, it's a conspiracy theory. But a few months ago, we were on our way to a childbirthing class, and we're leaving to go, and I get notifications on Cash App that I spent $80 at Taco Bell. You spent $60 at Taco Bell. You spent $80. Like, they just keep coming. Totaling out to about $450 in Taco Bell. That somebody ordered through my Taco Bell app. They hacked my app, my Taco Bell app, which was my Cash App card was connected to. So that happened. So then the Spotify thing happening is like all my accounts are just getting hacked right now.
Is your password like password 01?
I mean, it's not anymore, but
Quick, go hack his Facebook.
but so that was fun. You know, I'm having to be in the hospital trying to focus on taking care of Kate, taking care of Zeke, and I've got to work on getting my Spotify account back for 30 to 45 minutes. So that was fun. Thankfully,
Doesn't sound fun.
it was not fun. It was a very loose term.
I would rather my Taco Bell app get hacked than listen to K-pop.
I didn't have an option. Like I tried changing the music, and then they just changed it right back. You know, because on Spotify you can only listen on one account at a
They're
time.
like, this idiot
So-
American doesn't know what they're doing.
That is a power move.
Dude, it
BTS.
Dude, it was so I'm so over it. But
You
I'm
should have
also
rickrolled them.
I was so
That'd have been great.
tired to not care. So
Mhm.
This wouldn't happen on Apple Music.
That's
oh
not.
my- get out of here.
Dude, it is so frustrating when I want to share a song with somebody and they're like, I don't use Apple Music. And you're like, well, guess you're not
Exactly.
hearing this song.
Or Garrett shares a song and it's through Spotify. He shares
Yeah,
it.
I
and
just
goes
ignore
to
it.
the album, and you have to listen to a random song from the album to get to the song he was trying to share to you.
It is the biggest pain in the butt.
It's
I
awful.
Gross.
it's a hard pass for me, dog.
Garrett, are you guys breastfeeding or are you doing formula?
We're breastfeeding.
Yeah.
It's thankfully it's worked out great so far.
It's awesome.
The first night home, which was day 2 of him, we were up at like 1 a.m. feeding him, and she was just crying because it hurt so bad.
Mhm.
And she's like, I want to bottle feed him so bad. Like, we're like, she's like, I'm gonna give up. Like, this is too much. Like, sitting there, like having to breathe through him feeding, and you know, at that point it was still colostrum, so he's really having to work to get it out.
Yep.
Like, it's not just like coming out. So
Yeah.
but thankfully, you know, I just kind of sat with her and encouraged her, and I was like, hey, like, I know this is something you want to do, but like, if this is too much for you, like, don't feel like a failure if we need to like switch it up or like give you a break. Like, I know this is what you want to do and this is your plan, but like, if we need to do something else so that you're okay, like, there's no
Mhm.
shame in that. So
Yeah,
but,
there's
you know,
there's not, and the crazy
Yeah.
part is that like there's some people out there that believe that you're not being a mom if you don't breastfeed.
Yep.
which is
Or the
ridiculous.
people who say that you didn't give birth because you had a C-section.
Ugh.
I am.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
I have a former friend who said that to my wife,
Dude,
and I
Notice he said
After-
former friend.
not for my friend anymore.
After experiencing it, a C-section is way harder on your body. So much harder on your body. Like,
But you said it was natural.
huh? No, ours was natural, yeah. But like her aunt.
Okay, you said experiencing a C-section.
Yeah,
Like,
I
Oh, no,
was
no.
thrown for a
No,
loop.
experiencing a natural birth, a C-section is way worse on, like, way harder.
Oh,
on your
okay. I couldn't hear the comma.
body. because her aunt just had a C-section, and was, you know, kind of sharing her experience about it, because up until a week before he was born, we thought we were going to be having a C-section. But so she was kind of talking her through tips, and I mean, literally, Kate gave birth 3 days ago, and she, since giving birth, has only been taking Advil and Tylenol. Like, what the freaking crap? Like, that blows my mind. Like, but
That's where
like,
you realize that
C-sections-
women are tougher than men.
No, absolutely, yeah. But C-sections are so much harder because it's like it's a major surgery
it's
that they're going
surgery.
through.
Yeah.
through. Yeah. So
Both of
not
ours
only
were
are they having
C-section.
to
Yep.
not only are they having to you know, take care of the baby, but also having to like recover from a C-section and surgery. Like, that's insane.
Yep.
It's insane.
Yeah, it was. We ran into a little bit of that. Of like, we didn't have anybody directly say, "Oh, you had a C-section, so you didn't actually give birth," or anything like that. But like, we didn't have an option with the first one with Roman because he was breech. And for those of you that don't know, that's feet down, right?
Yep.
So a lot of complications with that one. So they just said, "Hey, we're going to schedule you a C-section." And so we went through a lot of that roller coaster of like, you get in those Facebook mom groups and all that kind of stuff. And I'd say 80% of the, moms in those groups are great, like great advice. But you've got some people who are just die hard off the rails unless it comes out of your vagina and that thing is latched to your nipple. You're not a mother.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And it's like that's stuff that, like, as a dad, like, we're never like you're never gonna understand or
because
like,
everybody knows what we did to make the baby. Everybody knows.
What'd you say?
I said everybody knows what we did to make the baby. They know.
Yeah. What little effort we gave.
I gave at least 5 seconds.
Oh, I mean, clothes on.
Yeah, I forgot the wipes that day.
Oh gosh.
Oh Lord.
I mean, clothes off to clothes on. It's on a good day, 7 minutes. So we're just
That's a commercial break.
I watched a TikTok today that was like a man. There's no faster time for a man to get out of his clothes when he thinks he's getting some. And I was like, that is very true. All I need is the text from my wife, and the clothes are off by the time I make it upstairs. Like, it's all the back pain, all the sore joints gone. I am flexible. I am Cirque du Soleil this. I am gone.
I may not move for 30 minutes afterwards because the soreness comes back immediately.
Yeah.
But
the so-called post-nut clarity. Yeah. I hurt myself.
Dude, I will
that text could cure cancer, dude. Without
100%. I will be on my deathbed, and if I get that text, just like,
bro,
I've been delivered.
Would even walk on the way, running. He passed Forrest Gump.
I will say, when we were in the hospital, I've never experienced the fear that I've ever, like, I've never experienced such a great fear that I've ever encountered in my life.
What are you talking about?
So we
unpack that a little bit.
So I've never been like frozen by fear before, like to the point where like you almost feel paralyzed.
But what part though?
So we were, it was like, I don't know. We went, so I guess I'll give a little backstory. So we went into the hospital on Thursday at like noon. Kate texted me and she was like, hey, I'm not really feeling him move a bunch, which is very abnormal. Like we usually meet our kick counts pretty quickly. For those of you who don't know, whenever you're pregnant, at a certain point in the pregnancy, like 20 something weeks on, you have to meet a certain amount of kick counts per day or per hour is how they want you to check it to make sure the baby's moving. And that's kind of your, as you don't have a heartbeat monitor, that's really your only sign of telling if the baby's okay is if he's moving. So Kate was sitting at home and we had a really rough night. She was in a ton of pain. She started feeling contractions for the first time. And, woke up that morning and from like 7 a.m. to like 11:30 or so, she only felt him move like twice, which usually within a half hour, you're supposed to feel him kick like 7 times. So for him not to move at all that whole morning really threw her for a loop and kind of scared us. So she called me and I was like, all right, let's just go to the hospital. Let's play it safe. So we go to the hospital. They check his heart rate, check her heart rate, and everything's good. But they weren't going to send us home because he still wasn't moving. So they were like, basically, you're 39 weeks pregnant, so we can either induce you, or you can stay here and we can keep monitoring you, but like we can't let you go home until you feel him kick normally. So we're like, well, let's just get induced. Well, her doctor, they called her OB, and her OB was like, let's just induce her. So we induced her. I think the induction started at like 8 p.m.
Did they do the IV drip induction or the chemically soaked tampon?
The chemically soaked tampon.
Apparently that's miserable.
It was awful.
Yeah.
It was super painful for her. So
I hate that I know this much about childbirth. I never expected this much. Okay, continue. Sorry.
So we did that at like, I don't know what time the induction started. But the induction started sometime, probably like 6 or so, because we had dinner and then they induced her. And she was in a ton of pain, like almost unbearable pain. And they were checking her cervix, and she was only dilated to like a 1 or a 2, which was just super weird that she was feeling that much pain. So, they gave her some Tylenol. That didn't do anything. Then they gave her basically morphine, and that didn't do anything at all. She was still in a ton of pain. And she's just like, I've never seen her in so much pain. And she's just like, not, she wasn't crying, but she was like pretty close, like almost just like about to throw up just of how much pain she was in from the contractions. And
when you see it in the eyes of your wife.
Yeah, it was so then at like 3 a.m. she was only dilated to like 3 or 4, which was still, she was moving pretty quickly. But like at 3 or 4 a.m. they were like, the nurse was like, do you want the epidural? Like, if we give you the epidural, it'll help your contractions, but like you can't move at all. Like, you have to stay in bed. So she was like, no, give me the epidural. Like, this is miserable. So this is where the chaos started. So they go to call the anesthesiologist, and right at the time that they called for her to come up to give her the epidural, some other patient had an emergency C-section. So the anesthesiologist was, they're like, she's going to be tied up for like 45 minutes to an hour. Like, can you wait, or do we need to do this now? And our nurse was like, no, like this needs to happen now. So she tracked down another doctor who is an anesthesiologist, but she doesn't work on like the OB floor. So she's trained in giving epidurals, but she doesn't do it for her job.
I don't like where this is going.
So that was, and our nurse is explaining this to us, which I'm glad she was honest with us, but it did not settle us at all. Like, I'm like, great. So, the thing that could paralyze my wife if they do it wrong.
You're letting the B team in.
Yeah, not even the B team. I mean, this lady's trained in it, but she doesn't do epidurals for her job.
This is the fan that got called out of the stands to be the kicker in the college game.
Exactly. But no, so she came up and she did the epidural, and honestly, she did great. It was perfect.
Did you hold your wife during said epidural?
I did.
Did you look at the needle?
I did not.
Okay, smart man.
I didn't know how I was going to react during any of this process. So our nurse was like, if you think you might be queasy, don't look. Like, just, hold your wife, but don't look at the needle specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So I held her, and honestly, the worst part of the epidural is the numbing. But once they put the epidural itself in, they don't feel anything. They just feel pressure. But honestly, the epidural went great. There was no issues, which, God, we were sweating. I was sweating, and her mom was sweating. Like, we were so nervous. Like, but it went great. And then shortly after the epidural, so they put the epidural in at like 3:30, and she just started dilating so fast. So they put the epidural in, to give you perspective, they put the epidural in at 3:30 a.m. and she was at like a 3 or a 4. She gave birth at 5:15 in the morning.
Oh, so that kicked it all into gear.
Yeah, so it kicked it in. So the part where I got paralyzed with fear came very quickly after, because so it's at like 3:30 they get the epidural, like 3:45, not even 15 minutes afterwards. The doctor, they have the monitor that's checking his heartbeat and her contractions. And the monitor is just going nuts. Like, she is having almost constant contractions. Like, normally it's a contraction and then there's a break, contraction and a break. And that's kind of the ebb and flow of the labor process. But she was almost just constant contractions, which when contractions happen, the baby has a hard time breathing and it puts a lot of stress on the baby. So they're like, hey, like, do you feel the contractions you're having right now? And she was like, no. Which is kind of what the epidural is supposed to do, but it's supposed to kind of leave you so you can feel it a little bit. But she's like, no, I can't feel anything. Like, what's going on? And our nurse is like, you're having almost constant contractions. Like, it's putting a ton of stress on the baby. And within minutes, it went from just our nurse in the room to probably 7 or 8 different nurses and doctors And they're just very quickly getting ready for surgery. But they're not talking to us at all. Like there's no talk to Kate. There's no talk to Kate's mom, no talk to me. They're getting ready for surgery. And like when you don't get to hear what's going on, like I was sitting on the bed and Kate's mom was next to her. And I just see everybody coming in, getting ready for surgery. They start prepping her for surgery, and start getting like ready to basically rush her away to the OR to do an emergency C-section because our baby can't breathe. And I I just remember sitting there like paralyzed. Like I didn't know what to do. I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to get up and be by Kate, but like I literally could not move. And was I've never experienced anything like that before. And then the doctors are in there and they're basically about to take her into surgery, and things kind of calmed down. Her body stopped contracting as much. And then but we went from all the doctors in there to they kind of slowly dripped out. But then after that point, we were never left alone in the room again. There was always like at least 2 nurses in there, like just constantly keeping track of things. And it was rough. So then after that, she started pushing at like, I don't know, I think it was probably 4:30. She was like, I need to start pushing. Like I feel it. They checked her cervix and she was at a 10 and started pushing. And 45 minutes later, little Ed came out.
Nice.
And then second part of being paralyzed by fear, she gets the head out, doctor gets the head out, and she's like, all right, nobody move a muscle. Like, Kate, do not push. Nobody move a muscle. And she was like, the umbilical cord is wrapped around his neck twice. So she had to kind of do a little surgery there and get the umbilical cord off his neck. But there like wasn't any room for her to pull any of the baby out because everything was so tight. So she had to do surgery then and cut off the umbilical cord and get it off around his neck. And, obviously they tell you when you give birth, when your baby comes out, like you want to hear crying. But she pulled him out and he wasn't crying because he couldn't breathe because the umbilical cord wrapped around his neck. So, another moment just being paralyzed by fear and like, oh dear God, like there's literally nothing I can do in this situation.
Terrifying,
like
dude.
I am utterly useless, and like my baby's life is in somebody else's hands, But
I tried to warn you. It'll make you want to punch a doctor.
dude,
It'll make you infuriated.
It made me want to punch a doctor, but it also like I am so deeply grateful to all of our nurses and doctors. Like they need to be paid so much more money than they do. Like,
oh absolutely. God. It's I explained it to another buddy who had a kid in the realm of you want to punch a doctor because there's nothing else you can do.
Dude,
like there's literally nothing, and there's like
thankfully our doctor that delivered was her OB. So we had known her for a while and we've been
that's
visiting
awesome.
her and, but she was on call. She wasn't the doctor that was, stationed at the hospital at the time. So we had met with another doctor and he was fine, but, and I mean this in the best way. He was a man. He mansplained things a little bit, and he just didn't have that like tenderness that a woman has, especially a woman who's given birth before.
M's first epidural went down it paralyzed one half of her body, or numbed one half.
Oh, geez.
So she could feel everything in like one hip joint.
Oh my God.
But nothing on the other side. So she had like 2 epidurals in one night.
Oh.
And the second one, it was again like that 3-4 in the morning. I'm loopy. I've been awake for like 24 hours.
Yeah.
And I looked at the needle and I got the queasy. It's a big freaking needle.
I did not think I was going to, but I watched him come out. I watched her get
dude.
You gotta.
I totally was going into it. I was like, there's no way I'm looking. I'm going to stand above the shoulders and give her support. And I did do that until, they wanted her OB wanted her to change positions, how she was pushing. And that involved me helping her.
Lifting legs because she can't feel her feet.
So I had to lift and hold her legs, which at that point I was in very clear view of everything that was happening. So I
and you realize how heavy the human body is when they can't move, and you're like, how is your leg so heavy?
So I watched, and I honestly wasn't queasy at all. I was definitely expecting to, but
I think in the moment you're more absorbed with the wonder. It was going on.
It was adrenaline.
Like, how is this thing coming out of here?
I feel ashamed that I was the shoulder dad for the first two kids. And then, like, I never cut the umbilical cord. I don't know why.
I didn't cut the umbilical cord.
I in 4 kids, I've never cut an umbilical cord because
I let Kate's mom do it. She wanted to do it.
You know what? Go get you a bratwurst, grab some scissors, and cut it. It's no different.
It's the same thing. Well, like, they forced me to cut it.
I understand that from like a mental level, but in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to mess this up. I don't know how I'm going to mess this up, but I feel like I'm going to.
I was the same way.
So I was terrified. I'm like, nope, doctor. I think my mother-in-law did it twice, and the doctor, Luke being the C-section, they did it in the OR. But I did not cut a single umbilical cord, and it's such a weird sound.
It is, and it's a weird texture. I was like standing beside her knee, like I had my hand on her knee, like she'd already given birth, and he was holding the baby, and I was looking at her. He was like, "All right, Dad, you ready?" I said, "Ready for what?" He said, "You're going to cut the umbilical cord." I said, "I did not sign up for minor surgery." I said, "This is your job. This is what we pay you for." He was like, "Don, he put the scissors in my hand. Like, he just stuck them in my hand and said, go."
Freaking trauma shears too.
He said, hurry up. I was like, oh my God. Just
like, I have trauma shears in my IFAC, and I'm like, why are you handing me trauma shears? This is not an EMT moment. Like the freaking oscillating sound just Yeah, I never cut an umbilical cord, but yeah, I only watched the birth the last 2, and I felt ashamed to have shied away from it the first 2 times.
It's honestly it's a beautiful thing.
With Roman, he was, like I said, he was a C-section, and so I was at like Mel's head, shoulders area, and then they put the blanket down, and then basically at kind of like her midriff area, and then everything else is down below. But I could see in the reflection of like this utility,
the brushed aluminum closet,
but it had glass in the middle of it, and so I'm like doing this. I've been an EMT for a while, so you know I've seen some stuff. This is under normal circumstances, surgery is not that big of a deal. Trauma, totally
because it's your wife.
Yeah,
but I was like looking in the window and stuff, and the doctor like kind of looked at me and kept on going, and then looked at me again and stopped and said, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm just watching. Like I want to see what's going on." And she was like, "Okay, come on around." So she like pulled me around the curtain, and I'm watching my wife get cut open. I'm seeing everything. And so they
root around,
dude, elbow deep, both arms in her stomach. And I'm like, where are your arms going? She's not that big. Where are your arms going? And all of a sudden she just blink.
Baby.
Pops the baby out like she's holding the freaking trophy. Hey, here you go. And I'm like, she pulled my son out, and she's been delivering babies for the better part of 20 years. She said we had one of the biggest umbilical cords she has ever seen. So when I'm talking like these trauma shears, right? They're the ones that kind of make a little kind of obtuse angle, right? Yep. She was like opening them as far as she could get them to get it like there. Like it was 2 snips to get through it. It wasn't 1, it was 2 snips.
She almost calls facilities to get like bush cutter shears. Hedge trimmers.
And just
they had to use
sucker down. But dude, one thing that shocked me, Garrett, I don't know if, all you guys, right? But like how rough they were with Roman when he first came out. Like they were just like passing him around, and when they were wiping him down, like for some reason in my head, I'm like, oh my God, he's delicate. Like, you got to be very careful. And they were just like, wham, wham, cleaning him off. And I'm like, no wonder he's crying. You're beating the hell out of him.
And then they're like scrubbing them off like a dirty dish, just like scrubbing away.
For real.
It's like the cheese on the nonstick pan that doesn't work that good anymore.
You just scrubbing as hard as they can. And I'm scared to hook my baby in the car seat because she's so delicate. They're just scrubbing away.
I asked because again, I was an EMT and we've dealt with like people who've been in water a long time dealing with hypothermia. It's to get the blood flowing. Like, it made sense because I asked the question. I was like, why? Because that they're just getting in there, like putting some stank on the cleaning. And I'm like, come on.
I think one of the nurses actually spit on him too to try to get some of that stuff off there.
That's got to be a lie.
No, it was.
Okay, good.
A complete lie.
I hope so.
Hand sanitizer on it. He'll be done in a minute.
It's freaking Dawn dish soap. Gentle on feathers, tough on grease.
I mean, yeah, exactly, right? It gets,
the placenta is huge, by the way. Good God.
And gross. Super gross.
I didn't realize how big the placenta was going to be. That thing
Like a
was like
brisket.
Yeah, dude. It's nasty.
it's like a tomahawk steak, dude. That thing was huge.
for real.
And the other gross thing is when you watch them tug the umbilical cord to pull it out, and it's just like flops onto that freaking rag, and you're like, not a fan.
This is intense.
How much of this are we going to edit out?
I don't know.
None of it.
I don't think we even started the podcast because we haven't heard the introduction.
I'm gonna have to do an introduction afterwards.
You're gonna have to.
We've just been going.
I think this is a good one, dude.
This is
I
great.
do too.
This is. We had
This is
some
what
good
people wanna
conversations in this one for sure.
This is what
I like
Tony
this
Giddens
one.
wants to hear.
Yeah,
like
he'll
this
probably log off after 10 minutes.
I don't know.
My dad asked me the other day, he said, who's the guy on the podcast that does all the cussing? I was like, well, Abe's out right now, so it's not him. I
Is it me?
was like, I think it's TJ. I said, it's probably TJ.
I try not to.
I feel like I said like hell a couple
No,
times.
you're pretty tame on the podcast.
There
but
was
it's like,
there was an episode a few episodes ago that
There was one Gordo
You're
got
off
spicy, and
I think TJ, Gordo, and myself got in the language pool a little bit.
we
it
did.
was. But
But
to him, 2 or 3 words is like, oh my God.
I felt bad putting it out with
Damn, Tony.
I didn't edit it too much, but
I try to. I mean, Garrett, you play Xbox with me. I'm pretty filtered right now.
no, for 100%
100%.
away from.
Luckily, baby sleeps a lot nowadays.
He does sleep a lot. Like
This
he's
is the
doing right
best.
now.
This is the best time of like early kid.
All depends on your routine, you know?
Yeah, we made the mistake the first day we got home. We made the mistake of trying to stay awake during the day because that's what we normally do. And then we're like, oh, we'll just, figure sleep at night. That was a mistake. We didn't sleep too much the first night. And now we've learned that we have to treat every day kind of like it's the night. And if he's sleeping, we need to try to be sleeping.
Correct.
Because otherwise we're just going to be absolutely toast. So first night was rough, but then second day we got some good sleep during the day and take turns watching him. And
Yeah.
Well, what we did, I mean, you can take this advice if you wanted, or you can just keep doing what you're doing. We would alternate feedings. So, he's going to wake up every 2 or 3 hours and want something to eat, or you're going to have to wake him up. So we would alternate feedings. So we would at least get 6 hours of sleep in a row without being woken up, each of us. Like one might sleep till 9 o'clock, one's up at 6 o'clock, but
once she starts pumping, then we can do that.
Yeah.
I will tell you this: spend the money on a good pump.
Yep.
We've got like 3 different pumps that have all been gifted to us, and
That's awesome.
we've got
The best one is if the hospital would give you one.
We have
like-
a Spectra one, which I think is a pretty nice one. That is all automated and does both at the same time and all that good stuff.
And make sure those valves stay clean. And don't try to pump without the little one-way valve on there because you will
Don't
ruin a
forget
pump
the one-way
like
valve.
that. I don't know what kind of idiot would do something like that, but
if you wouldn't have told me, I wouldn't have known.
I've done it because you take it apart to clean it, and like it's the tube that goes into the top, like the trombone side, and then the bottle's underneath, and it has a little flapper one-way valve in the top.
Yeah.
And you disassemble it all to clean it.
Yeah.
And I just put the trombone on, screwed it on, put the pump on, handed it to my wife. She didn't notice, and zip, right into the pump. And I was like, oh no.
My wife uses a Medela. It's like the double pump, and then she uses the wireless pumps, the LVs. Oh my gosh, those things are amazing. Yeah, it's from Walmart, but the insurance company will pay for one if you just call your insurance company, they'll pay for one up to a certain amount.
We use those awesome.
I think we have I think we got the LV from insurance.
It's so good, man. Like she can do things with her hands or like move without being like just strapped.
Tied to a freaking
the house.
Yeah.
She can wash her bottle parts while she's pumping. Like she can't like bend over or anything, but like the light work.
Yeah, we didn't know about that until I think second or third kid that you can request a pump from your insurance company, because we were dealing with the cheapies like that were not good quality.
Yeah,
for the first two, and then freaking M was this is going to sound really mean, a milk cow for fourth kid. Well, because we were donating milk to Alex's son. Because Anna was having a hard time producing, and M was like a bounty of milk. Yeah. And post Uriah's open heart surgery, like I think it was probably, looking back on it, it was Anna's nerves because she was so concerned about her kid. Yeah. Because he had just had open heart surgery. I don't think her body was like in the proper stage or like mental stage to be producing. So looking back on it, I am 99% sure that's why God made us have a fourth kid, because everything lined up perfectly. Yeah. So he would not have had enough food and he would have gone to formula, which isn't that great, especially for a kid who's just had major surgery. Yeah. And M's like, I've got all the milk you could possibly want. So she fed Uriah like almost daily. I was meeting up with Alex to like give him bags of frozen breast milk, which is why I called him out post his conversation about breast milk and gains in the gym. I was like, bro, it's freaking weird.
It's freaking weird.
It's freaking
I will say, speaking of that, find somebody and have a donate or be donated to conversation. Just so if something happens, all of a sudden she just doesn't produce anymore or whatever, that's already lined out. You're good to go. You don't have to worry about it. Yeah. Or it's okay to supplement with formula here and there.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so
we've got a few different
knows that. I mean, even for you, go off and have those conversations. Just set it up. I wouldn't say do it behind her back, but just let her know, hey, I'm going to go. Like, here's just some formula,
just in case,
in case, right? Because we went, like I told that story a while back. We went through the emotional roller coaster. Of that. That was the hardest part of being parents for us, without question, so far. Is just dealing with that emotional toll of my wife, like me watching her, like just be in this. It was so natural to her. Like, I mean, you get some people who, you just look at them and you're like, you struggle being a parent, don't you? Right. But with Mel, it was not that way. I mean, she fished to water, dude. Like, that was just her calling. And then watching her battle that emotionally was really difficult for us. Yeah. And so once we finally came to the realization that our kid needs to be healthy, doesn't matter if it's breast milk or formula or whatever, he needs to eat, and he needs to eat when he needs to eat. Yeah. Yeah. So just be prepared, like emotionally have those conversations of like, hey, look, you know what? Let's do our research. And I'll say this. if your wife is anything, or if you are anything like my wife, or your wife is anything like my wife, she gets lost in research.
Yeah.
And at some point, you just have to make a decision. You'll know very quickly if you guys supplement with Formula One meal, here and there, whatever.
Mhm.
You'll know very quickly if it doesn't agree with him.
Yep.
It like if he gets gassy, or you'll just start to learn the different cries.
Mhm.
But I would say be prepared to have the conversation.
And
just
if
let her
you
know
get
that it's
formula, do as many possible samples of the different formula like companies,
yes.
because you will not know which one your kid agrees with the most.
Mm.
And a can of formula is freaking expensive.
Yeah.
But almost every formula, Similac, all those, if you need samples, they will send you samples like that. So the more samples you can get, and if like Abe said, if you pay attention to, I gave him formula. 6 hours later, his craps were horrible, or he was spitting up a lot.
Mhm.
Then try a different one. But yeah, all the samples you can possibly get for would be a recommendation, because you spend $50-$60 on a can of formula, or $40, and you don't want that to waste.
We've got, the hospital gave us, I think, a little sampler formula pack, and then they also gave us like pre-packaged bottles where you just have to put a top on to feed him. Like, they're like, just in case, like, if her milk doesn't come in.
Those are emergencies. Those are not as good in our experience. They didn't work out. The kids didn't like those.
Yeah, thankfully we haven't run into anything like that, but I think it's definitely smart to, get something lined up just in case.
And on the scale of don't ever be hesitant to ask us, because we all have wives who've done a wealth of research. So, especially for M, I think it was third kid, Sophia for her, and one of her friends at the same time. They were having a hard time producing enough, and they went through the long gambit of the ways to increase milk production.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And M, if you ever need it, she has the super milk cookie created. They look like no-bake cookies.
Okay.
But they had
lactation cookies.
But there are so many recipes, and every woman out there, or every person who puts a recipe up thinks theirs is the best.
Yeah.
But if you guys ever need help with that, I know M has a recipe that she has used herself and had other women use, and they've worked well. I don't remember what's in them, but
I think it's hilarious that you can buy, the ones in the store are called booby bars.
Yep.
That's hilarious to me.
We're not all fruits, nuts, and flaky, but you guys have heard enough about my wife that if it can be made at home, she's going to make it at home.
Yeah.
And she definitely liked knowing what was in them. To make it from scratch is better.
Yeah.
So she's got all of those wrapped up, what worked for her.
Yeah.
So if you ever need a lactation cookie recipe. And she also said nipple shields are money if you guys don't have any of those. If Kate's dealing with the discomfort.
We have them. We just haven't figured out how to use them correctly yet. We haven't.
It's super tough right now because he's so small. He's got the little mouth, but as he gets older, and you get some of those, not necessarily teeth, but the jaw muscles start engaging more. The shields are good.
Good to know.
Mm-hmm.
And she said she fully supported ice packs too. Because I'd totally forgotten about those, but they have ones that are
the booby ice packs.
Yeah, the ones that are inserts for the bra. That's almost like a padding. She goes, those were great.
That was my role. I was the expert booby ice pack guy.
Like you're in like a pit crew. It's
Absolutely,
feeding time.
dude.
You just swap them out, swap them back
Yep.
in.
Here, let me get that for you.
Yeah. No,
if I
there's
can,
The
if I
death
can ask you
stares
guys,
that I got doing that, worth it.
from your
if I-
wife
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
because you took your job a little too seriously.
Oh, I was thorough. I was very
Attaboy.
thorough. Yep.
yikes.
Yep.
Oh, and M said if you need, if she needs, and again, we understand we're peripheral friends,
Mhm.
but if she runs into problems with clogged milk ducts, because those are miserable
Oh,
That's
dude.
what
for
I've heard.
for ladies.
Hot shower. Hot shower and
So
just
hot shower
standing there.
works. And M, I think she said getting a good heating pad that you can just set on your chest.
Okay.
And I know this is going to be a miserable job for you, but you might have to massage your wife to help release.
And it's going to hurt. Like
it's not a sensual massage. You are going to be hurting your wife,
Yeah.
but it is like clogged milk ducts. I remember, I don't think it happened often with every kid.
We had them all the time.
My wife
With-
can hear
with
me because
Roman.
she just said it's like the cold ones, but they go in the microwaves. The little heating pads for the boobs.
Yeah, they're like little purple circles.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's-
beanbags.
that's-
It's
That's what
about
we
this
have.
big.
Yeah.
Yep.
Garrett, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just gonna say before it's getting kind of late. I just want to ask you guys a question real quick. So as you know, I mean, I'm super fresh to this, and we're on day 3. I think mentally, it's been pretty tough. For me, I think I just want to say, like, I texted you guys a little bit about it. I don't know if it was yesterday or whatever, but definitely feeling like frustrated with myself in this process so far because I don't feel like I'm doing a ton. You know, like I'm I'm helping out. Like I was talking with Kate and I was like, I don't think I could do more to help out. Like I'm doing everything I can. But in the grand scheme of like being active and doing things, I'm really doing nothing, but I'm exhausted. And like I almost feel like I'm frustrated with myself that I'm so exhausted and like not able to be 100% attentive to things, or like I'm falling asleep watching TV after I've already taken a nap, like, but I'm not doing a ton. Like it's been a rough mental space to be in. Like, did you guys experience that at all, or?
A little bit. I would say, like we talked about it before, and now you're starting to live it.
Yeah.
Is it's so frustrating how little you can do. All you can do is it's not that it's not enough. Like that's what you have to remind yourself, is it's not that you are not doing enough. It's you in the stage that you guys are in. I would say probably for like the next about 3 months, it's your hero support for your wife.
Absolutely.
Like you're step and fetch, you're change diapers when you can, make bottles when you can.
Yeah.
And you can't, you're comparing.
100%.
And comparison is the thief of joy.
Mhm.
So you are comparing because your wife has done so much and is continuing to do so much, and you made the baby, you helped your wife for 9 months, and now yet again she is doing more than you.
Yeah.
And it's not that you are not doing enough. It's your role. You are fulfilling your role.
Yeah.
And you can't let that, you can't be dissatisfied with or you can't allow yourself to become dissatisfied with the role that God has in front of you. Like you are doing everything you can.
And it's not that I don't say I'm dissatisfied. It's just that like in comparison to what I would normally be doing, like normally if we didn't have the baby, a full day's work and, you know, come home and still have energy to do whatever. But I like me thinking of going to work right now is like the hardest thought to think of because I'm so exhausted. Like And again, I'm not physically doing a ton, and I don't feel like I could do more to help out. I'm doing
It's
everything I
emotional
can.
and mental. You're at 110% all day, every day.
Yeah,
That gets exhausting, and that is very human.
yeah.
And any dad who tells you that they haven't, I would say either didn't realize it or wasn't as invested. Like, it's because you care so much that you are so exhausted.
Yeah.
It'll flip flop, dude. Eventually, once you get to the point to where you're like, I'm going to take this kid out by myself.
That's a big first step. That is a huge first step.
For real. And even if it's like, bro, the first time I went and put Roman in the car seat, I drove him around the block.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay. And I'm like, but I have like my rearview mirror tilted.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where I can see in the mirror, and I can watch him, and like I'd hit a bump, and realistically, he'd be like, "Bunk," not a big deal. But to me, he's like in a roller coaster, all around, all this kind of stuff. But dude, it'll settle down. I was the same way, man.
Yeah,
I was the same way. It was not quite probably as bad because, my wife had a C-section and she couldn't move, right? Like. And so I was doing, not necessarily comparing, but I was doing more than she was capable of doing, right? So putting the baby in the crib and, and all that kind of stuff. But dude, it's going to be, if you have to, I'm not like, we got like a heart monitor thing.
Mm-hmm.
We got one that just, I forget what the name of it is. I'll ask Mel. She'll know what it is. But it slid on the front of the diaper and like measured heart rate, measured a heartbeat. And that, dude, like that gave us a lot of peace. Just because it was brand new, and like the amount of times where you would fall asleep, but you're not asleep. In any way, shape, or form. You're not gonna dream sleep.
Sleeping feels like turning, like closing your eyes. Like it's almost like blinking and 2 hours has passed or 3 hours has passed. Like,
absolutely.
You wake up and you're like, I don't feel like I slept at all.
It's because you're not really asleep. It's not, you're not really asleep. Your brain is still kicked in that protective mode.
Yeah, because you like every little noise that you hear.
You're up,
like,
and
you're like perking up, like, oh, is he okay? What's going on? Like,
you also got to remember the biology of that, where you're probably kicking adrenaline into your body constantly. And adrenaline dumps make you feel so exhausted.
Dude, so just sitting on the couch, like after like we're doing something, I'll sit down on the couch and just like breathe. Like I'm just like, whew, man, like that was like we had like we had an hour today where he had a blowout, so we cleaned his diaper up. As we're cleaning up his diaper, he pees on his face, and so we've got to clean that up. Then we put his clothes back on to realize that in his blowout, his pee had gotten all over him. We're like, let's just give him a bath. So we give him a bath. As soon as we finish up giving him a bath, he pees on his face again, and all over his chest. So we have to restart the bath all over again. Like,
you should have gotten the baby shield. You advertised for it.
I did. But and then we, after that, got him all dried up, changed his diaper again, sat down. It was like an hour later, and we sat down, and I just was like, oh my God, like that was intense. Like that past hour felt like a full day's work. Like,
I also can't recommend as a dad. It's almost like a baby. I think it was almost called a baby sack, where it's not like a onesie or something like that.
Sleep sack.
Yes, sleep sacks. Okay, those are money. Those are absolutely.
It lets their feet go crazy, but it holds their arms tight.
When do you start? When do you start using them? Because we have them
last week.
The first day.
I still use one.
Really?
For me personally.
Yeah.
So there's sleep sack. There's sleep sacks. There's like there's the Halo makes a swaddle that you put on. There's different ones that you can use depending on how you want the baby. If you want their hands up here, if you want them crossed, if you want them down, you just use whatever he's comfortable with sleeping.
M said weighted sleep sack or normal sleep sack.
We have a weighted sleep sack.
They have a weighted one.
A few of them.
That's what Oakley's used. Is she uses
like
those?
It's got like a little circle right on his chest. It's really small.
But
I think we swaddled her for like the first week.
Yeah, that's so we swaddled for like the first couple
2 months.
First couple.
But our kids really liked their hands.
Couple months is what M said for the swaddling is what they liked most because they were wigglies.
Yeah.
But the sleep sack as a dad for diaper changes, because again, I was paranoid about like snapping and pinching them because I have big freaking monkey hands. But the sleep sack was money in terms of that ease of change.
Okay. Good to know. Because we have sleep sacks, but I didn't know.
Pretty sure you can use them right away. We never use them. I don't have the right answer for that.
Yeah, I didn't know when we could start using them.
I think.
I guess I just figured we'd have to wait a little bit at least. I don't know.
Yeah, you can use them right away. They're meant for newborns.
I mean,
they'll grow out of them before you know it.
We have them in all sizes. We have a 0 to 3, a 3 to 6, and a 9+.
Wait till he starts his first growth spurt, and you're like, "Where's my tiny baby?" Like that'll blow your mind,
dude. It's hard. Like my boss had told me, don't wish away these stages. It's hard not to because of how
absolutely
how insane life feels right now. It's hard not to wish it away, and I don't feel like I'm actively like, man, I wish this wasn't like this. But I catch myself constantly thinking. Like I'll see someone else's kid on Facebook, or we were at the doctor today for our first visit and saw bigger kids, and I was like, "Man, I can't wait until we're at that stage where
that is also very human,
where they're
very human,
where they're a little bit more, independent or a little bit more older, and like,
no, you won't.
It's really hard not to do that. I mean, I've got a newborn and a 3-year-old. And it's gotten to the point to where Aspen's super mature and she's having like full-fledged conversations like about anything. Mm-hmm. And then you realize how grown up she is and you're like, where did my baby go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she couldn't.
And then you'll have a private cry in your room where you're like, oh my God.
And you're like, I took for granted the last 2 years where I could just hold her and I could just treat her like a baby. And now she's wiggling saying, let go of me.
Yeah.
Like,
or you get the not now, Dad. Yeah. Once you hear that, that's a knife to the heart. Yeah.
Bro,
I did that.
The other day said, Dad, I just want some time to myself.
Yeah, dude, like, that'll hurt you.
How dare you?
Yeah.
Like,
she told Ashley,
thank you for talking to me like that. Like,
I think it was today. She told Ashley, she said, leave me alone. I want to play with my dollhouse.
Or I think I shared a reel on Instagram where it was when you try to play with your kids and they've outgrown you. They're like, oh my God, just let me play. And I was like, that's real talk. Because I wanted to build Legos with Luke and Levi. And I built wrong. Yeah. And like,
can't do that.
My oldest son, he's 8, like very politely was like, Dad, we've got this. You can go. And I was like,
oh my gosh.
Okay. I guess
smash the Legos. Do you have this?
Well, probably because I built it wrong in the first place. They probably tore it apart as soon as I was out of the room.
But no, to answer your original question, Garrett, you're gonna feel worthless for a while. There's nothing you can do. So the best thing you can do is to just let Kate know, like, whenever you need me, whatever you need me to do, let me know and I will be there. And like that, like I will be there as soon as you need me. Just let me know. And then just try to be around her. But don't like neglect the things that you need to do around the house. If you need to wash dishes, if you need to watch the Cubs play, like whatever you want to do, like you can do those things. Like, because if she needs you, she's gonna be like Garrett, and then you're just there.
And to be content in that.
Yeah.
Right. Because she also doesn't want you to hover over her the entire time she's trying to spend time with the baby. If that makes sense. Because I wouldn't want Ashley hovering over
she's deep in the mom. Like, this is not to be misogynistic. This is what she's on this world to do. And she's feeling a new level of.
I mean, thankfully thankfully we talked about it earlier today. We both are feeling like this, kind of that same feeling where we're like, this is our kid, but it doesn't feel like our kid yet. So, like,
Very true.
thankfully, I was worried that she was going to feel that, and I wasn't, or vice versa. And I felt it immediately as he was born, but then as we left the hospital, or even after the moment of like labor being done and him being here, like it kind of left pretty quick. But thankfully, we're kind of on the same page and feeling the same thing, so we can at least talk about it and process it together and whatnot. But
It's gnarly, and yeah, that is very true. Where you don't feel like a parent yet because it is so new. Where you're like, what is going on?
I was the same way. And then once we got home, at the time when we left the hospital, we were staying with my parents between our apartment to our house. And we're staying with my parents. And it didn't feel like my child.
yeah,
Like she was like obsessed. Like she knew it was her kid. Like she was obsessed. And I was like, it just doesn't feel real.
yeah,
Like in the hospital, I was like overwhelmed with emotion. And then once we got home, like you said, it was like it just didn't seem real. And it took a couple of weeks to really get back into like being obsessed with that little baby.
I've heard once they can start smiling, it changes.
Yeah.
Once
Or where their eyes track you across your room. That's the one where they can actually see you and you know that they are seeing you, even though you're probably blurry. that moment of like, okay, this is my person.
When they first respond, like at just a physical, like I'll never forget the first time that I was like, "Hey, Roro," and he whoop,
Yeah,
and like looked at me. I was like, "I will murder anybody for you." Doesn't matter.
yeah.
Like,
And that's
we just learned how to smile. And like when you talk to her, you'll like, she'll look at you and then she'll just like grin with the widest grin.
Yep.
And then she's off looking back up to the ceiling fan or whatever.
Yeah.
But when she looks at you, like, you know, you've got her attention. Like it may only be for like 1.2 seconds, but you've got her attention. And that's when you know, like you're hooked.
Yeah.
It's the different stages. And I would say, at least in my experience, my wife felt that almost instantly because she gave birth. Like that was in her and now it's out of her.
Yeah.
But you didn't really have that connection. Like that's to me, that is the dad connection kicks in once you start to have like that interaction with your child, as opposed to I am now this tiny human's servant at this point.
Yeah. I think
accurate.
And just ending on this, I think the coolest part that I've experienced so far is like Kate and I were talking about this in the hospital, and it's overwhelming, like our love for him, you know, like our first day, like holding him together and whatnot, just the three of us. It was overwhelming sense of, oh my gosh, I love this kid. Like, man, he is so perfect. And I can't help but think of that's how God feels about us, you know, like, you know, God often talks about us in the Bible as referring to us as his children and treating us as his children. And, man, it's overwhelming to think that like through all the messed up stuff that I've done and everything that I've done to hurt him, like he still loves me like I love a child. Like, and even more than that, like, dude, it's overwhelming. Super thankful and grateful that we get to experience that. And yeah, being a dad's pretty cool. It's got its ups and downs, but man,
It's
it's definitely, I mean, I'm only 3 days in, but man, it is so far worth it. And I know each day is just going to get better and better.
Exactly. Don't get lost in the exhaustion of it.
Yeah.
To cherish the magic you're seeing with your own two eyes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But don't let it overwhelm you at the same time. Take a minute, go outside, walk around the house a couple of times, walk around the block once.
Just don't track in any dog poop.
It definitely overwhelmed me. It overwhelmed me. Today's Monday. Yesterday, Sunday. It overwhelmed me a little bit yesterday. I got up and took a shower, and our shower has kind of like a ledge on the top where I usually will like listen to music or would put my phone up there, listen to music. And we obviously didn't go to church. So I put our church live stream on. It was just in the shower listening to worship, and it was literally just a bawling mess in the shower.
Yeah.
And yeah,
those happen.
Yeah.
There's no shame in it. It's exhausting. It's very emotional.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I'm loving it. I'm excited to go on this progress with you guys and journey with you guys. And
I'm excited that you're finally a dad.
Dude, me too. Somehow I can finally dad.
My wife's
Name change.
My wife told me about that. She said, your dad's on Facebook chatting with Garrett again. I was like, oh my God. She's like, he really knows how to run a joke into the ground, doesn't he?
Dude, it's funny. I can't make jokes about you being an imposter. Like you weren't even a dad yet. What are you doing?